And welcome to Between the Posts. It was Umpire Appreciation Round. We appreciate you. And I'll tell you who else I appreciate. The great man next to me, young Jad Ghosn. Great to have you back on the show.
No, thanks. Great to be on. Been a while since I've done it, but really looking forward to it. Going to be a really good show.
What are you going to bring us tonight, my friend?
So we have the Div 6 report from myself. I'll give that one.
Yep.
As well as Coach of the Week, Goals of the Week, Mark of the Week, all that good stuff. We love to see those big high-flying marks and the beautiful goals.
That's why we watch footy. That's why we love football. Of course, I'll be doing my Division 1 report. Bec Northcote will join us for the Division 1 Women's report. What caught our eye? And plenty of great things happening around the league that caught our eye. But, of course, it is a very special day. Someone else we really need to appreciate, and that is the mothers. And all of you guys who are in here working, I think it's important we give a shout out to your mothers. So your beautiful mother, Rima, we wish her a happy Mother's Day. Yeah, Hugo's mother, Karen. Was it Karen? Well, let's get sushi, Karen. Okay. Of course, my lovely mother, Diane. We've got Valerie, my mother-in-law, and the mother of my children, Katie. Oh, everyone's in the studio audience today. Can we get a bit of round of applause to the studio audience? Growing every week, the phenomenon. That'll do, thanks studio audience. But mate, you do a lot of work. You were out yesterday as well. And you were at Broadview and Sacred Heart.
Yes.
Okay, that'll do, audience. Loves the Tigers. Yeah. Tell me about Broadview and Sacred Heart. How was the day?
Yeah, it was quite a good game. Sacred Heart just finding a way to win at the end, but Broadview winning at each break, so definitely we're in front for most of it. Sacred Heart dominated for a lot of periods of game, but couldn't capitalise, and then when they did in the last quarter, they just ran over the top. But yeah, good game, good atmosphere, beautiful weather, and yeah, good Div 1 footy.
I missed the commentary, I honestly do. Question without notice, I shouldn't do this. You've seen all the Div 1 games this year, you've been floating around for the first 5 rounds. Can either of these two teams make the grand final?
I think they can. I think Sacred Heart have been very impressive. They've got really professional all around the field. They've got people that can help out. A strong midfield, more Karish. We see all of them. Carlotto is obviously a star of the comp as well, and just adding pieces here and there. And if they have a few injuries, they've had good depth as well come in. Very professional win yesterday away at Broadview at Tigerland, and not always the most easy place to go, but they've done very well.
And how about that new facility at Broadview? Real flash, isn't it? I understand you got a few of the old Division 6 Villies bakeries treats sent to you as well?
Yes, no, they looked after us very good. Perfect position up there, and good day for footy.
Look after your commentators, feed them. Fantastic, Jad. It's great to have you with us on the show. We're back with more Between the Posts. And welcome to Between the Post Division 1 wrap of Round 5, looking at Round 6. Well, let's get right into it with our stream team game. It was, of course, the Falcons heading down Brighton Road to visit Brighton Bombers. And it was a close one. Brighton 14-17, 101. Payneham 18-13, 121. A 20-point win to the Falcons. Same number of scoring shots. Just putting that out there. Major goal kickers, Will Rivers' move up forward has been great. Yielded another 3 along with Tarka, also with 3. Whilst for the Falcons, it was that man, Tentacles Tom, with 4. But the standout player of the day is Jack Hodges. He kicked 5 goals. We'll be having a look at some of his wonderful efforts from the day. Interesting notes from the commentators. Of course, Sean Jackson was back. I know a lot of people cared about that, so I'll keep mentioning it. Well done, Jacko. He'll be back up to Kingston now. He filled in for Adam Jeffries for 1 week. 22 of the 32 goals scored were to the northern end, so there was a clear breeze that was aiding those going with the breeze, and it was probably Payneham who just used it a little bit better. The margins throughout the day were Brighton with the breeze by 15, Payneham by 5, Brighton taking a 10.3 quarter time lead, but in the end it was PNU by 20 points. A couple of crucial 25-metre penalties, and it's fair to say there's a lot of 25-metre penalties for both teams, but 2 in the last quarter that really set up goals for the Falcons were crucial. Better players to Brighton, because obviously all the awards will be going to Payneham. Ricky O was very good, and Matt Reid. But let's have a look at all these great awards. The first one, the Mosley voucher for Best Team Man went to Brad McKenzie. Well done to Brad. And now it's time to look at our magic moment for Neomorph mouthguards. Have a look at this Tommy Wagner mark.
Gets it back, gives it and gets it back. The old build the stats routine. Ends up with Felix Scrimmager around the corner, hits the danger spot. Oh, what a mark!
Yes, young Tentacles doing beautiful things there. And our Archie's Belgravia, New Balance, Dartfish beanie and thongs and a pair of these. that man, Jack Hodges, a deserving recipient. Now, normally I would go on to Roll the Dice Player of the Year. There's been a change, there's been a tweak to Player of the Year in our production meetings this week. Player of the Year is undergoing a bit of a change, so you won't see a leaderboard for a few weeks. We're going to create a little bit of mystery, but we will be giving you the votes. We'll get back to you on that in a couple of weeks. 1 vote to Brad McKenzie, doing great things. His run off half-back is crucial. 2 votes to Tentacles Tom, and 3 votes for that man, best on ground, Jack Hodges. Well done to the Falcons. No one thought they'd do much this year, and they're just starting to really, really knock on the door and let everyone know we're back with the Falcons. Don't forget about us. We won a grand final in Division 1 only 5 years ago. All right, let's have a look at our next game. Now, I said last week this one was pure guesswork, absolute guesswork, and I guessed at the time when we recorded on Sunday that Broadview would get the chocolates. It was Broadview, 9 goals, 458, Sacred Heart, 11-9, 73. This game was at Broadies. What happened though on Friday, I was having a chat with Nathan Grimer. He uses every resource he possibly can, and we were talking about this game and noticed it was Josh Byrne and the ruckman, who is of course Jesse White. So losing 2 key pillars like that, I changed my tip straight away to Sacred Heart because of their big men, and that was the case. They got the job done. But it was number 4, Seb Kerrish, who provided most of the spark, and he'll flash up on our screen because his highlights are worth watching. For the goal kickers, Johnny, the big man, Bozza, kicked 3, and Sacred Heart, for Sacred Heart, it was Fox with 3. Better players for Broadies, Baker and O'Leary. The commentators' notes talk about how Broadview did exactly what they did against PAC, and they kicked the first 3 goals of the game. Normally that lights them up and they just keep going and going. And they had intense pressure on Sacred Heart, who were undefeated for a reason all day. And the pressure just dropped off in the last quarter, and that's when Sacred Heart were able to strike. Broadview leading by 11, 10 and 8 at the breaks, but it was 4 goals, 1 to no score in the last quarter where they got on top. It was a Cam Rankin goal that got shot going and made the difference. Let's look at our Player of the Year votes. 1 vote to Jackson Fox for his 3 goals. 2 votes to Cam Rankin, the catalyst to get them going in the final quarter. And that man, best on ground, was Seb Kerrish. Okay, our next game. We've got a few stats for this game as well. Look, it's an upset, there's no doubt. I didn't think Port Districts would lose games at Largs Reserve this year, but they did. Not to our complete surprise, but well done to Golden Grove. Port District 6-5, 6 goals 5, 41. Golden Grove 10-7, 67. We're going to have a look at number 20 from Golden Grove. I've watched this guy come through as a junior. He went to Nord. He's a good footballer. We'll have a look at Michael Cavallaro. Here's the stat from the commentators that really matters. Port District led by 3 points at quarter time. Probably business as usual there. They did not score in the second and third quarter. I don't know, you'd have to go back a long time to see Port District not scoring in over 2 quarters of football. It's an incredible stat and speaks volumes of the press and defence that Golden Grove are able to play. Well done to the Kookaburras. Goal kickers for Port District, Modistash with 2 and Cavallaro, that man with 3. Better players for Port, Gaffney, Modistash and Gouldy battled his backside off all day. Before we have a look at the votes, I want to have a look at some of the stats, and I love getting these up. Some interesting reading. It kind of speaks for itself. Golden Grove with 10 more disposals, 293, 283, but it was the handballs. Again, they rely on their handball game, they trusted it, and they're obviously able to get the forward handball and the release handball going, 126 to 91. And correlating to that, marks heavily in Port's favour as they chip the ball a little more, 88 to 55. Clearances 26-37. Those players around the ball for Golden Grove getting the job done with 11 more clearances. Player of the Year, Lewis Johnson. The commentators' notes, cool and smart. 2 votes to Jake Pittman. He's a pit bull. He's tough. He's smart. He's won multiple male medals, and that's why, or association medals. And that man, they're calling him Petrarca-like, but again, I'm not sure about that one. Well done to Michael Cavallaro. Our next game, again, I know Nathan Graham was nervous about this one because it was the grand final rematch. 2 great, worthy adversaries. Now, here's a stat. If I went around a room of 100 people and asked this question, maybe I'd get the right answer eventually. How many players from last year's grand final side were missing? I'd ask my studio audience, but they've been told not to speak today. 5? 6? Couldn't be 10, could it? Wouldn't be 14. 25. 25 of last year's 42 players in the grand final not playing for Glenunga and PAC. I'm not sure what the split is. I think it might be 14-11. 14 out of last year's team for Glenunga and 11 out for PAC. That is just mind-numbing. But anyway, in the end, it was Glenunga 12-17-89, PAC 8-6-54. A great 35-point win there for the Falcons. We'd have a look at a man we look at so regularly, Abe Davis. He is great to watch. Goal kickers was that man, the big bear, Abe Davis with 4, and Link Tony Bennett kicked 3. For PAC, unusual to see Joels on the scoreboard with 3 goals, but obviously played a very, very good game. Now, this one, again, the commentators' notes really tell a great story because you go, oh yeah, typical Glenunga game at Webb Oval, they've ground them out 12-8. This is no typical game because PAC came and they came to play. They kicked the first 5 goals of the game, if you can believe that. Glenunga were able to steady and bounce back. That, for me, speaks volumes that maybe this Glenunga team has taken the next step. The true test of a team isn't what they can do when they're on top, but what they can do in adversity. Glenunga have fought back from 5 goals down, 7 goals to 1 in the last quarter. They just went bang and they unleashed. Better players for PAC. Well, Sumner held McMahon goalless. That in itself is an outstanding effort. And Lockie McNamara was back to his best. A name I haven't heard, and there are plenty of new names at Glenunga, was Woodson on his wing, was also very good. For the votes for the second week in a row, the big ruckman Geordie West appears with 1 vote. Harry Prosser, a couple of crucial marks in this game, got the 2 votes. And best on ground, Abe Davis, a bit like a broken record here. There's a reason why he won the medal last year, and he's on his way to potentially winning back-to-back medals in Division 1. Last game of the round, St Peter's and Tea Tree Gully. St Peter's 9-10-64, Tea Tree Gully 17-10-112, an 8-goal win there to the Gullies at Caterer, which is a great effort. Tyler Martin played out of his skin and he kicked 6 goals. I think we might have a look at a couple of those 6 goals. He was joined by his good mate Cody Tape kicking 4, whilst Johnny Reid continues a super consistent season. He kicked 3 for Spock. He now moves into equal second with 5 other people on 12 goals for the year. McMahon, of course, leading, and he is one of those 5 with 12. Now, I like meat. Everyone knows I like meat. You probably like meat too. But I tell you what I like more than meat. It's the Jag Meatworks snag of the day. Let's have a look at Noah Hyde.
5 goals is the margin here. Quick kick comes out to Noah Hyde. Noah Hyde with a beautiful long left. Wow, from outside 50, Noah Hyde. And, gee, that's almost a contender.
Look, this game certainly wasn't one-sided, and it took time for the Gullies to actually break the back of Spockers. It was 6 goals to 1 in the last quarter where they were able to run over the top. Better players for Spock, Benny Belperio and Hamish Allen gave their all, as they always do. Whilst for Tea Tree Gully, let's talk about the votes, because they're all Tea Tree Gully. Blake Tickets Penny, the horse himself, was leading that last year. Cody Tape with his 4 goals, and Tyler Martin, who we've talked about, with his 6. What an interesting round of games and what an interesting ladder. As I said, I'm not going to put the best player votes up for a few weeks. I'm going to build a bit of suspense in that. But let's have a look at the ladder, and sitting pretty at the top, undefeated, Glenunga and Sacred Heart. Now, they've both got a 2-game and percentage break off third. What a great spot to be moving into round 6 of the season. We then break to Port District 3-2, Payneham North Junior and the Falcons, overachieving at this stage if you speak to the experts, and Tea Tree Gully 2-3. Golden Grove just starting to make their move, and they had to. 2-3. Broadies 2-3. PAC in 8th spot on 2-3. Brighton 1-4, and St Peter's yet to trouble the scorers. All right, now round 6 of Division 1. For the first time in my life, looking at Division 1, every game could go either way. Literally every game could go either way. There's no doubt about it. There'll be no surprises, and I'm a big chance to get 0 out of 5 this week, or maybe 5 out of 5. What we've got now is a great new initiative. I'm going to give you the game, and the QR code is going to appear for you, so you can just easily check out the games live this week. All right, let's have a look at the first one. It's Golden Grove at Glenunga. This one is at Harper's Field. I'm not to be against undefeated Glenunga, but Golden Grove are just really starting to find their faux shizzle. The next one, PNU versus Broadies. Wow, again, another tough one to pick. Obviously, it's Sunday today. I've got to pick without seeing the teams, which makes it hard. I think it all depends on who plays for Broadies. If all their ins come in, they win. But at home, I'll take the Falcons. St Peter's looking for their first win, and they need it. They'll absolutely need it to stay in touch. Otherwise, they'll go 2 games of percentage out. They host Brighton. I think Brighton might find a way to get the chocolates here. Kick straight, they'll win. Sacred Heart versus Port District. You could certainly argue this is game of the round. Sacred Heart undefeated, Port District 3-2. Well, I genuinely expect Port to bounce back. I do, I really do. But I think I need to respect the form that Shock are having. They're undefeated for a reason. They're playing with a good system. They're full of talented Golden juniors, many who I used to coach and I love. So I'm going to take the Shockers. Don't let me down, boys. And last but not least, our stream team game of the round, Tea Tree Gully and PAC. Wowee, this one is, it is, Tea Tree Gully don't like the fact I never tipped them. I want to tip them. But again, PAC lose this and they go into the relegation zone for the first time, probably since the last time they were relegated all those years ago. I'll take PAC. I had taken Tea Tree Gully. That's how uncertain I am about this. PAC for mine. Interestingly enough, if results go the way they might, PAC in the relegation zone, that just blows my mind. All right. Also, next week, special mention is Breakthrough Mental Health Round, so make sure you check out that. This has been TJ with a Division 1 wrap. I'll be back next week.
Welcome to the Adelaide Footy League Division 1 Women's Wrap for another week. I'm Bec Northcott. Join me as we go through all of the round 5 action. To our first game of the round, and Golden Grove made it 2 wins in a row, defeating Smosh by 30 points. Not only did they get the win, but they got their first win at home for the year, which is great to see. I'm sure the home crowd would have absolutely loved that. Now, backing up her 4-goal effort last week, Golden Grove's Liana Wessingley was on fire with another 4-goal performance. This is huge. 2 weeks in a row with 4 goals. Whatever you're doing, Liana, keep it up, because ever since you started firing in front of goal, the Cookers have been unstoppable. Now, backing her up on the scoreboard was Ashley Thomas with an also impressive 3 goals, with Tali Borges and Madeline Steele contributing a goal each. Kate Lovell was named best for Golden Grove by the coaches. You know, it's exciting to see Golden Grove find their form in the last 2 weeks, and their 9 goals 7 was also their highest score of 2024. So keep on going, Golden Grove. You're finding your spot in Division 1. I'm sure you can get more wins on the board as the season continues. Now, on Smosh's side of the scoreboard, Asha Gooley, well, she had a day out. She kicked 2 goals and she was awarded her team's best player. Their other 3 goals came through singles to Bridie Dolan, Astrid Gooley and former Crows AFLW player Renee Forth. While Smosh are still looking for their first win, I continue to see positives for them in that this week's 5-goal-1 scoreboard is their highest score for the year, improving on their previous highest score, which was last week. 5 goals 1, well, that's great accuracy, and I hope to see them continue to improve next week and beyond. Now, in game 2 of the round, we saw the 2 undefeated teams in Payneham and Henley face off at Payneham Oval. In a real statement, Payneham 8-8-56 defeated the Henley Sharks 3-9-27, a solid 29-point win. This leaves Payneham as the only undefeated team after round 5. Leading at every break, Payneham worked hard all day, scoring solidly in every quarter, including a 3-goal final term. So what a way to finish off the game. Where did the goals come from? Well, for starters, Chloe Samuel kicked 3, as well as 2 to Chloe Pedersen. Singles were also kicked by Letitia Ackland, Micaiah Bryant and Abby Claby. So a few of the usual suspects that we're starting to see there for Payneham just being really consistent in front of goal. Sophia Falco got the coaches' votes this week for her performance. Payneham would be really happy with the result, which sends them to the top of the ladder with their 4th win. They are just cruising along very nicely, getting some big scores and early wins on the board. And Payneham are well and truly in redemption mode, looking to really get back into the grand final and win that one that they missed out on last year. Over to Henley, and they would have been disappointed to only end up with 3 goals out of their 12 scoring shots, because it shows they were getting plenty of action inside 50, just were not able to turn that into goals. Tamsin Fegate up forward, well, she kicked all of their 3 goals, which is exciting for her, but probably shows that she needed a little bit more support from some of our other forwards there. But big shout out to Tamsin there, making her way on the scoreboard. In Game 3 of the round, a really close affair was played out between Morphettville Park and Broadview. At the final siren, it was Morphettville 44-28 with the 8-point win over Broadview 28-20. Whilst Broadview had more shots on goal with 10 to Morphettville Park's 8, inaccuracy cost the Tigers the win in the end. The Tigers came out strong, winning the first quarter 1-2 to Morphettville scoring a single point. However, Broadview would not kick another goal until the final term, which allowed Morphettville to hit the lead by 3/4 time and ultimately at full time as well. In a game where goals meant everything and were a little bit hard to come by, Morphettville shared it around with Tash Christophers, Tessa Combe, Tess Maple and Katie Murdoch all kicking a goal each. Chloe Harding had another strong performance for the Roos, coming off some good footy at Glenelg. After a slow start to the year, Morphettville got their second win in a row, which moves them up to 5th on the ladder. I did predict that they would start to find form once their lineup started to settle a bit more. I also think that, having said that, Broadview are starting to see a more consistent lineup in their Division 1 side as well, so it'll be interesting to see where both teams go from here. Now, the Goodwood Saints had the bye this week and sit nicely in second on the ladder with a healthy percentage. Looking to the next round, we have some interesting matchups to look forward to. Broadview and Golden Grove will face off at Broadview next Saturday. Broadview will be looking for their second win and are probably still wishing that they had got the win over Morphettville. Their best footy could certainly take the win over Golden Grove, but Golden Grove, well, they've been up and about in the last few weeks and I wouldn't have thought they would go down without a fight. I reckon this could be a close one. Now, Smosh will host Payneham in a 1st versus 7th clash. I think, unfortunately for Smosh, Payneham will be far too good here and just get the job done, get another win on the board to take themselves to 5 straight wins. Henley and Goodwood will face off at Goodwood in what shapes up to be a battle for second spot. Both teams have only dropped 1 game and will both be looking to prove themselves. I can't tip this one, it's too close to call. You'll have to join me next week to see how this one plays out. Morphettville Park will have the bye this week, so they get a week off to just rest and nurse any injuries. Now, quickly to what I've seen around the women's divisions this weekend. Well, in Division 2, Tea Tree Gully had 8 players hit the scoreboard in their 50-point win over Lockleys. I love to see girls sharing it around, everyone in the forward line getting involved, people in different positions getting involved. So love to see a solid team performance. In Division 3, Eastern Park's Tamara Clapton kicked a 5-goal haul, taking her season total to 12 goals. So that's awesome to see as well. Another 5-goal haul was seen in Division 4. Shout out to Willow Homisham from Scotch Old Collegians. I like what you're doing, and that was Scotch's first win for the year. So great leadership there to take your team to a win. In Division 5, I came across the highest score for the round, which was kicked by Athelston, who booted a huge 18 goals. So honestly, that's crazy. They kicked a score of 119 to defeat West Croydon. So that's absolutely huge for the Raggies and featured 6 goals by Natalie Lohman. Well, that's all for me this week from the Women's Wrap. I hope you enjoyed it and keep enjoying your women's footy. See you next week.
And it's that time of the show again. It's the Farmers Elite Coach of the Week. It comes to us from Division 4, thanks to Callum Knox for this nomination. And a worthy winner is the coach of the Chicky Babes from Kilburn, Steve Kusner. Obviously, Steve's had a great start and he's 5-0. They've scored the most points in the division. They're absolutely flying. But there's a lot more than that. I spoke to football manager Danny Ryan, and obviously last year they had their premiership in the 100th year. We're all expecting it to come. But Steve's coaching style, looking for sustainability and growth, not just for this year, but for the years to come. So he's very structurally based. He commands attention when he speaks, and he's a very strong character. And with blokes like Galbraith, Pearce and Lyson, you've got to be a strong character. He's a former Salisbury player over many years. I think I crossed paths with him a few times, and I think he was even a coach at Salisbury, was at Trinity as well as a coach. But now he's a Kilburn Chick, and he's our Farmers Leap Coach of the Week. Div 6 fans, it's time. He's here, the man, the myth, Jad Ghosn, with the Villies Family Bakery report.
Yeah, so the first report for the year, so a little bit of a summary of how the league's going so far. Of course, Div 6, one of the most talked about divisions in all of Australia.
Bit of media, no division in Australia has had more media than Div 6, and not just you, my friend.
Exactly, so we'll start off with Elizabeth, of course. They've been the talk of the town, talk of Australia for the past week after the record-breaking loss in round 4. Of course, it's a negative to lose by that much, but it's almost a loss they needed to have after that being a bit of a wake-up call. Everyone kind of getting on board now, helping the club turn around. So they had a much better showing this week.
Yeah, look, I agree completely with you. If they had have just lost by 40, and there's been some jokes, mate, we're not being facetious here. If they had lost by 40 goals 10 weeks in a row, it would have been just business as usual. But to have the 80-goal loss, it galvanised the group and the blokes that have come back. And I think you've got some mail on the amount of players that have returned. And 50 goals to the better this week from last week. It's a good start.
Yeah, they got 20 players back to help them out, a bit of depth in the club, as well as a few new sponsorships. It was actually in the advertiser role. A lot of nice pictures. The 100 supporters went out to the away game to support them after only having 10 at the home game. So good support from the community. Hopefully now they can kind of turn around slowly, get things sorted on the field and off the field, and go from there, hopefully.
I'm hearing Dan Garinge. I'm hearing those weirdos with the funny haircuts and the fringes. Marmalade team are going to be down there. Everyone's jumped on board, so fair play to Elizabeth. It looks like they've turned it around a bit.
Yeah, correct. And now from the one end to the other, ladder to the other, looking at Eastern Park. So relegated last year from Division 5. They only had 4 points last year, 2 wins. And now they've started 2024 season 5-5, unbeaten record, 100%. And they versed a few difficult teams already. So they've got Ingle Farm already. They beat them in 14 points. The Div 7 premiers, of course.
On Anzac Day, that one?
Yes, That's right. And so far they have the best defence in Division 6 as well, really shored up their defence after getting relegated last year. 210 points conceded only after 5 rounds is a very good effort.
42 points a game.
Yeah, good maths.
Thanks.
As for Salisbury, they're the other undefeated team in that division. So 5-5 as well after 5 rounds. Last season finished 3rd in Division 6. Not just 3rd on the ladder, but also 3rd in the finals, losing to the eventual premiers Greenacres by only 12 points. Justin Gameau, look out for him. 26 goals already this season, average of 5 goals a game, and he's one of the key players this season for sure, and helped Salisbury get into that 2nd position so far, and pushing to get promoted after nearly getting there last year.
Yes, it's an interesting table. We did it in what caught our eye, but 3 players on 26 across the league. Plenty of goals. It is obviously the most prolific scored division of all, so you're a lucky man to call it. What else you got for us, my friend?
Yeah, so next team I like to highlight is Ingle Farm. As I mentioned, Div 7 premiers last year, going up. A lot of hype around their team, a lot of quality players all around the field, and so far 3 wins, 2 losses. The 2 losses did come, though, to Salisbury and to Eastern Park, so those 2 undefeated teams. Good effort against both. Eastern Park, they only lost by 14 points, and Salisbury, they only lost by 12 points respectively. So they're definitely in the hunt for those top 2 positions. If they can just find a way to win those ones, they'll be key. But we'll see. They've had a hard fixture so far. They should definitely bank some more wins in the next few weeks. A lot of key games coming up. We'll get more into that in a second. But yeah.
They're going beautifully, and I better do my job here and say congratulations on your new recruit, Wade Matthews, this week. Coming from the Virginia Football Club, he is a young star, so Virginia's loss, Ingle Farm's gain.
Yeah, Ingle Farm, a lot of good talent, of course, all around the ground. Next up to highlight is Fitzroy. They sit third with a 4-run record. Of course, some big matches coming up. I'll highlight them a little bit later, but they one I had to mention, and as they've started well, 4-1. Last year, a bit of a mid-table team, so this year started really well. Banked those wins early to try and get towards the final spots. And St. Paul's, similar position, same record as Ingle Farm, 3-2. Again, banking some early wins and showing the division they belong in those final spots. Some key players around the league, so a lot of good players, even in Div 6. You mentioned some already, and looking at Play HQ for the best players, the most times that people have gotten those best players. Riley Hendricks from St. Paul, 5 out of 5, and Chris Knapp's 5 out of 5, and 49 goals to go with it.
Yeah, it's not too bad. He's just averaging 9.2 goals a game.
Yes, of course. And then some other players...
9.8. Sorry, 9.8.
Yes, that's good. Some other players to mention. Dylan Richardson from Fitzroy, 4 out of 5 best players. Mason Pitt, Ingle Farm, 4 out of 5. Ben Fatia, Adelaide Lutheran, 4 out of 5. And Michael McElhaney from Rostrevor, also 4 out of 5. So a lot of consistent performers all up and down the ladder, which is good to see.
Yep.
Round 6, a big round of fixtures. I've got every single fixture listed. A lot of good games coming up. So Salisbury versus Fitzroy. I mentioned Fitzroy have a hard draw. You'll see that in a second. Elizabeth versus Central United. Both of the winless teams versus each other as well. So definitely an opportunity for one of them to get a win and move away from or try to move away from those relegation places. Eastern Park versus St. Paul's. Houghton versus Rosewater, and Adelaide Lutheran versus Ingle Farm. So a lot of interesting fixtures. Keep your eye on the Play HQ to look at the scores or the Facebook pages, or get down to the community and watch them. Some other ones coming up: Fitzroy Eastern Park in round 7.
Yes.
Salisbury Eastern Park in round 8. Could be a grand final preview. Both the teams obviously unbeaten so far. That'll be one to watch. And Salisbury's home. They've got a good crowd for that one.
Yeah.
And round 10, Fitzroy again versus Ingle Farm. So they verse Eastern Park, Salisbury, and Ingle Farm. In the next 3 weeks, 4 of the next 3 weeks. Yeah.
Of the teams up the top of the ladder, of the big four, we'll call them, Ingle Farm, Eastern Park, Salisbury, probably Fitzroy have avoided the big clashes, so we'll find out a little bit about them. But I'm going to ask you this one, Jad. The start of the season, I always put my on the line, and I predicted an Eastern Park versus Ingle Farm grand final. I've probably underestimated Salisbury, haven't I?
Yeah, Salisbury have started very, very well. They've got a lot of talent, a really good football program down there, and they've started on fire. But Ingle Farm not too far off, like I mentioned, just losing to those two teams, but only by a goal or two. So definitely one to watch as the season progresses. Who has the more experience? We know Ingle Farm, of course, won the grand final last year, so they definitely know how to win it. Yep. And they'll be in the pointy end, I'm sure.
Question without notice, hope you don't mind. Will Elizabeth win a game this year? It's a tough question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tough question. We'll see how they go. We've seen crazier things happen. Why not, I'd say. They look like they turned around. They've got a bit of depth now. They've got the fans back on board. A lot of media attention will help them on field and off field, like I mentioned. Even Johnny Platten getting involved, I saw.
Yeah, the rat. You heard it here first on Between the Posts. Will Elizabeth win a game? Maybe, yes. I think that's the safest answer for now. Maybe next division wrap in a few weeks, I'll do that for the Div 6 specialist, and we'll go from there. Beautifully done, mate. You've been absolutely sensational, providing us a wonderful overview of the Villiers Family Bakery Division 6 report. We'll be back with more Between the Posts. That time of the week again. I know you all love it because you're liking, you're hearting or wowing so many of these. Our most popular segment is the marks and goals of the week.
Near side wing. Rinsley couldn't quite take the mark. Bennett goes deep and long. Can it go over the back through for a goal? Yes, it can. Link Bennett. He has kicked a great goal.
5 goals is the margin here. Quick kick comes out to Noah Hyde. Noah Hyde with a beautiful long left. Wow, from outside 50, Noah Hyde.
Hits the danger spot. Oh, what a mark!
Martin. Kick, pulled the play on, goes on that left, straight down the line. Oh, massive fly! There's a Bianco mark of the day.
Okay, it's time, Jad. It's time for what caught our eye. Oh, I love those effects. Let's start in Div 1, mate. I'll lead us off if that's all right. I've done the report already. I had Golden Grove knocking off Port at Largs. That caught my eye for sure.
Yeah, I had that too. Golden Grove almost cementing their place in the Div 1, showing that they belong really.
Yeah, beautifully said indeed. They've just made their mark a little bit. We probably, maybe we should refer to our notes, but it's always interesting to see when we get the same thing. You won't have the same as me in round 2. Salisbury North 5-0, 2 games and 11% above 4th. That's a really significant stat. So you suggest they will be playing some finals and have a double chance. Jake Johansson, with 23 goals. Old Jakey, former Bay and Port player. But it's the big screen streams that catches my eye. So what Salisbury North do well is the off-field stuff and the on-field stuff. They've got the big screen streams and they play them for, the oldies inside if it's raining. And on away games, they still put the stream on. So you've got the AFL, you've got the punting, you've got the stream. That is brilliant using our products, our dartfish and filming footy. So well done, Salisbury North. I'm talking about blokes like McBride, Dan, the venue manager, Simon Warner, David Hood, the off-field, absolutely flying. What did you have for Div 2, mate?
For me, I had Old Ignatius winning their first game for the Div 2 after getting, of course, relegated from Div 1. They got their first win, which could prove crucial for the relegation battle. And off to a winning start, the old Iggy's finding a win.
The only game they won last year was points indiscretion, so they haven't sung the song in nearly 2 years, so that's a beauty. Got one more that was sent into us. It was an absolute thriller at Athelston and Flinders Park, and a beautiful goal from Caleb Barton, number 5 from Athelston. That was a great sausage indeed. What have you got for number 3, mate? Division 3.
Last 3, Vince last week said he wants to have a look at the Henley versus North Haven game, so I thought I'll follow up on that, see what actually happened from Vince's, what he caught his eye at that time. So Henley won the game, maybe not too much of a surprise, but I was surprised by the margin, 81 points in that game, so big victory for them to cement themselves at the top of the ladder for Div 3, and Harland with 6 and Schwartz with 5, so good effort from both of them.
Beautiful take on that one, mate. I had Henley over North Haven, and we thought North Haven were trying to be the best team in the league. Henley were. Well, if that's the second best team and they've beaten them by 81, look out Division 3. I said they can go undefeated this year. I stand by it. But another thing that caught my eye, and the streaming is catching on. People are realising the value in it and how it keeps your stakeholders connected. And Pembroke streaming all games with old golden tonsils himself, Laurie Oliver, providing some commentary. Really well done. On that theme, mate, about challenging to be the best in Division 4, what caught my eye, Hectorville, second place, 4 wins, 1 draw, so undefeated technically, take on the mighty Kilburn. Of course, Steve Cousner, our coach of the week. That one's at Daly Oval. The winner will go top. That really catches my eye.
Yeah, that's a big game. For me, for Div 4, Morphettville Park winning 1 point versus Westminster to move 1 point clear in that 5th position. So a bit of a mid-table battle for those last final spots, even though we are only in round 5, but could prove crucial, that one, and a 1 point win to when you're talking about making finals at the end of the year could be a big one there.
I think they replaced him in the 5 as well with that win, so yeah, beautifully done. Heading down the other end of the ladder in Division 5, what catches my eye, Blackfriars in 9th take on Marion. Now Marion are 2 and 3, they've just stumbled a little bit. Blackfriars will look at this at home as a real chance to sing the song for the first time in a while, whilst 10th place West Croydon play Trinity Old Scholars in 8th on 1 and 4, so a chance for 2 teams sitting 9th and 10th, a genuine chance for them to have a win.
Yeah, and for me it was Trinity beating Blackfriars actually to get their first win of the season, leaving the other 2 without a win, so just separating themselves from the bottom 2, which again could prove crucial come the end of the year.
You're the Div 6 expert, mate. You better go first.
Yeah, for me it's Fitzroy with their 4-1 start. They've probably beat everyone they expected to. Some big matches coming up, so look out Salisbury in round 6, Eastern Park round 7. So the 2 undefeated teams for them back to back will really prove if they're up there with the top 3, top 4, or where they sit. But it'll be a good challenge either way, and find out where they are a bit.
Yeah, certainly they've had plenty of. They've been on the positive end of all the story around Elizabeth, the 516-point win, but they're just going along quite nicely. Because of the Elizabeth situation, there's some incredibly high goal scorers. I've had a look. There's 7 players at the moment on course to kick a ton in a division. That's never happened in any league anywhere, I'd suggest. Now, it's probably not going to happen, but 7 players going at better than 5 goals a game. Of course, Rosenhall, 53 from Fitzroy, Knapp, 48, Ellis from Fitzroy, 39, Mansell from Eastern Park on 29, Richardson from Fitzroy on 26, Gamio, you talked about today, from Salisbury, I think, is he? Yep, on 26, and Martin from Houghton with 26. I reckon 17 of those might have come in the one game against you-know-who. Division 7, please, sir.
Yeah, for me, we saw what could be the grand final preview in Division 7. O'Sullivan Beach beating Para Hills by only 5 points, so a very close game for that top-of-the-table clash, and it could be a grand final preview.
It's beautiful, although that caught your eye, mate. I've dug deep in this one. O'Sullivan's Beach, Lonsdale 13-3, Para Hills 10-16. They probably should have won, and it was Wheatra who kicked 4, but had a shot on the siren for a draw. Ended up kicking a point. It was O'Sullivan's Beach by 5 points. But what impresses me most about O'Sullivan's Beach is that it was 5-6 to no score at quarter time. That's one hell of a fight back. So well done. I thought Para Hills might be just too tough in this division, but O'Sullivan's Beach have shown if you kick straight, anything can happen. All right, mate, that's Division 1 through to 7. There's one more thing that caught our eye. Now, we've got a tremendous team. We've got 12 commentators. We've got Hugo, John Douglas. We work with the Adelaide Footy League and all the people. But one of our own, Alejandro, or as he calls himself, Alejandro, has recently graduated from his media degree. So well done, young fella. You are a star on the rise. I'm so privileged to work with so many talented young media students, and they do a great job making us look good, don't they, mate?
Yeah, well done to him. Congrats on that graduation, and hopefully can work with him for many more years.
Let's hope so. We're back with more Between the Posts. It's time to say farewell, mate. Now, we actually have a sponsor now for the closing segment. It is sponsored by Sapol. They're watching you, Jad. You be careful. All right, so thank you for the sponsorship. Of course, one of our proud partners, South Australian Police. Have you had fun, mate?
Yeah, it's a very good show. A lot of talk, a lot of good footy chat, and a lot of interesting segments.
Of course, the show comes to us because of all the great sponsors. We thank them. And, of course, don't forget, Breakthrough Mental Health Round this week. Your mental health is important, not just to you, but to us. If you need help, if you need support, please reach out. Of course, filming footy are a big part of our streams, mate. So you'll be out again this week, won't you?
Yeah, I'll be there live on YouTube, every Div 1 round live and streamed for everyone to watch at home.
Yep, watch it now, watch it later, analyse it, and you're doing some very good stuff. You're enjoying it, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I love it.
I'm actually jealous. I'm not going to lie, I do miss it. That footy, the smack of the flesh up close. I've had a lot of fun today. It is, of course, a very, very special edition. And there are some people who make us, we wouldn't be here without them, would they? Yes, would we? No, we wouldn't. I nearly got it out. I'm a bit nervous because I'm just gonna get Hugo to pause for us. And we're going to bring up some very, very special people to help us sign off. So, on a very, very special Mother's Day edition, with great pleasure I can say, you've been watching Between the Posts.